Hey, this is Coach Q, and once again, this is the Meet the Holders podcast. First and foremost, I just wanted to thank everybody for checking out episode 1, How I Met Your Mother, where I basically just describe how me and Sabrina met, and we just try to kind of talk about our journey to getting to this point, why we created the podcast, all of those different things. So thank you for checking that out. And we are officially on our second episode.
Can I say the name?
Yes, you can say the name.
Jungle Fever. I wanted to be corny.
Okay, because it was. Yeah. This podcast is called...
Jungle Fever.
No, it's called Meet the Holders. But this episode is called Jungle Fever. So when people hear the term Jungle Fever, it could mean a lot of different things. I think what most people would say when you say jungle fever, they're just talking about, some type of interracial relationship.
I'll be super transparent. I didn't even know what that term was until I met you.
I know, that was funny, because you also didn't know who Spike Lee was.
Yeah, I didn't.
Which is crazy.
I didn't know who Spike Lee was until I started doing film studies for communications.
So this is one of those times where this is definitely like... you would be like,
they are interracial.
Yeah, this is how you know we're interracial, because to me, not knowing who Spike Lee is like, I couldn't even imagine it. But I'm sure she has 20 Latin artists she can name right now, and I have no idea who it is. So yeah. I can't even. Again, that's what it's about. There's differences. We have so much in common, but there's so many things that we do not, that we've exposed to each other.
Yeah.
But anyway. Most people, when they think about it, just think about it black, white, interracial, whatever, whether it's just for the night or actually having a relationship, whatever. But Jungle Fever, the most popular when people hear it is the movie. Jungle Fever, the movie by Spike Lee. Mm-hmm. Long story short, there is a married black lawyer named Flipper. He's played by Wesley Snipes. And then he just begins an affair while people are like, where's this episode going to go? No, it's not going to go
It's
there.
not going there, guys.
But anyway.
But still stay tuned.
Wow. Anyway, he has the affair with a woman named Angie, who's played by Annabella, is it Ciceroy? Is it? It's
the Italian chick, basically.
It's the Italian girl. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Who's his secretary. And she's a white secretary by, of course, dun, dun, dun. Then the news is leaked through an acquaintance, Flipper's wife. She kicks him out of the house.
Hold up. It came out on the exact date of when we were married. Not the year.
Amazing.
June 7th.
June 7th is our marriage anniversary, and that is the day that Jungle Fever was released in theaters.
In 1991. Wow.
So that is... Yeah. So we was gonna do this. This was all fate. There's no way.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. So basically, they get outed that Flipper, the black lawyer, is dating or having an affair with his white secretary, Angie, Italian, but y'all know.
Caucasian,
yes. I was just gonna say Caucasian. You want to get into that, but and then they're outed, and then he just. Flipper decides to just completely start courting her, only to be greeted by disapproval from friends, family, and even strangers. The relationship continues to be strained in a society not ready to accept it. People are hurt during its inception. And a lot of people will say, like, this is kind of where people got that idea. At least in media, like, they really got the idea of like, this person is the white devil and she messed up his whole relationship. But if you really watch the movie, like, he wanted Angie, like, and it wasn't because she was white.
Well, it was because they were in the office all the time, and he was having issues with his wife.
Exactly, he was having issues when you're having issues at home. And again, and it's funny because that's not just and that's another. I just want to make a quick injection. That's something that I hate that people do. Just because you come from a certain background and then you deal with somebody that's opposite, you're still gonna have issues. I don't know why people make it seem like that's gonna solve an issue or whatever, and that's not even what Flipper's whole idea was. Flipper's whole idea was he wanted to be with Angie because in his mind there was a certain level of peace. But the grass is not always greener. Relationships are going to be hard whether you're in an interracial relationship or not. And anyway, but that's the whole point. This episode is called Jungle Fever. We are going to really dive into clearly the biggest and the most obvious part of our relationship, which is the fact that we're interracial. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's not a big thing, but it is. Racism still exists. Prejudice still exists. People not understanding differences and understanding that we're all the same, but we're all different all at the same time, that it was designed this way. But yeah, so let's kind of move past the actual movie part of it. I just wanted to put that out there for anybody that didn't understand what Jungle Fever is or how people look at it. But no, this is not a direct, hey, our relationship story is like the movie or anything like that. No, we're just saying that phrase is what people kind of say when they're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You like white girls, or white women, you like black guys, or vice versa, whatever it is. So yeah, I'll go and start to just basically talk about like my background. So for me, I'm obviously black.
Well, your background is Haitian, Trini.
Haitian. I have Haitian and Trini descent. I want to say my mom also said some Native American as well.
Yep.
So that's me. But most people, when they look at me, whatever, or even when I'm talking or whatever, you just say I'm black or African American. What about you, Beth? So
nobody can ever really guess right off the bat when they first meet me.
I think they always guess wrong.
Always, never fails. So I am Brazilian Portuguese, and I also have a strong presence of Greek in my background. My mom and dad, so I'm second generation Brazilian, technically second and third generation, because my mom was supposed to be born in Brazil, but she was born fresh off the plane when they immigrated to New York. My dad immigrated to New Jersey from Brazil as well when he was 12 years old. And so, yeah, the Greek side comes from my grandma who passed away. She's Brazilian Greek. And actually, that's who our daughter is named after, Zenith. In English, you would pronounce it, you would pronounce it in regular English, Zenith, but we tell people to pronounce her name Zenith. So that's my background. I am a Caucasian Latina.
She is not an Afro-Latina.
Not Afro-Latina, in case you were kind of confused.
Is Z Afro-Latina?
Huh?
Z
is Afro-Latina, yes.
That's interesting.
Z is got a huge mixture in her. She has everything that I want. She has that beautiful tan skin and curly hair.
Yeah, so you saying that is what kind of leads us into the next thing. Now you say that, and you're not saying that with any malice or whatever.
No.
But there's people that might hear that and go like, "Oh, here we go. She's saying what she want." Are you fetishizing about
what I want?
Being with a black man and having black babies. Is that what this is?
Nope. So a little background on that. My whole life, I grew up as an Air Force brat. Not my whole life, but like for 15 years of my life, I should say. And I came up, even I can remember as back as like 2-3 years old. Yes, I remember some memories from when I was 2. I was living in the Philippines. So I've lived in the Philippines. I lived in Israel, Egypt, Argentina, and Thailand, and also traveled to a lot of different places. But my whole life, my mom will sit here and tell you, I was always attracted to the darker skinned, tanned boys. Even when I was living in Thailand, I loved dating Indian guys, especially the Sikh Indian guys. And I don't know what it was. I was just always more attracted to darker skin. I even thought women with darker skin, like tanned or black skin, like they just were beautiful, more beautiful, and I always wanted to have that. But as you can see, if you're watching a video of us doing this, I am as white as can be, and I don't tan as well as my parents do. My parents tan beautifully. But anyway, I say that to say that since I can remember, I always thought men with darker skin tone were just attractive. I was never attracted to lighter skinned dudes. So,
and just so people know that you said all that and you explained it great, but to even further get the fetishizing thing or whatever thing out the way, you don't have to get too crazy, because that's not what this is.
That's not what this is about. We want you to stay focused on what the topic is.
But I do want you to say, like, can you also explain, like, why you growing up, or even your parents, they would probably not explore the avenue that you went down?
Oh, yeah.
Just real light. You don't have to get crazy about it, but I do want you to just explain, like, why this is so against the grain of what probably...
So I personally feel like I am able to be attracted to somebody with your skin tone because I didn't grow up with people that look like me. I grew up in different countries that people would look different to me. So I guess I was always attracted to the differences, like people that had different, like didn't have same qualities as me. Does that make sense?
No, what you're saying makes sense, but
okay.
That's not answering the question. The question I'm trying to ask you is why? I think they understand why you are attractive to.
But you want me to give a little bit more background on my parents?
I'm saying a little bit why that would be. That's not the norm. That's not probably what people would want.
All right, so let's rewind. So my mom and my dad, like I said, Caucasian, Brazilian, Portuguese, very unheard of for white and black people to integrate, especially during that time when they were growing up and be in relationships. Now, my grandparents will sit here and tell you all day that they are not racist, but they are very prejudiced. They grew up in times where you didn't see interracial marriages and you didn't integrate with different types of groups of people that did not look like you. You pretty much, in Jersey, like the Brazilian, Portuguese community were in the same, like everybody looked like each other. When you go to Brazil, it still happens to this day where black and white families do not integrate like that, unless like you're in a lower income area and you don't really have a say-so. But when the higher up you get, the more segregated it is. So my mom and my dad, they weren't able to meet other people or other men and women that were black or darker skin. And if they did, they sure as hell wasn't going to be in a relationship with them because my grandparents wouldn't allow it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted y'all to just kind of get an understanding of really get the understanding of how we came together. Because like I said, sometimes you hear a whole bunch of different stories or there's other narratives. Yeah. So on my side, how my whole thing with my parents is my parents grew up in Queens, Brooklyn, New York City, and I'm not even gonna just say, I don't like to put because black people are on a monolith, white people are on a monolith, but I'm saying from my experience, a lot of African American families, just because of how we came up and just like the way, especially in New York, and like you were saying, New York, New Jersey area, the way that things kind of happened, because they were feeling the results of racism and constantly being treated a certain way because of the color of their skin, black people, rightfully so, adopted a prejudice against white people, as that's what happens to.
Well, think about it. Somebody that looks like me is constantly talking down on you, talking trash to you.
Right.
Of course, you're going to develop an anger towards people that look like the people that are hating on you.
It's natural.
Yeah.
If I'm walking down the street and minding my business and you push me, and you look a certain way, and you push me because I look a certain way, then I'm going to have a certain anger and a hate towards you.
Yeah.
Because of what you do to people that look like me. Yep. And the cycle's just going to continue and continue.
Yeah.
So I always say there's a level of from your side, from your ancestor side, there's racism, and I feel like the response to racism is prejudice. Mm-hmm. And it feels the same. Yeah. But it's not. Because one, racism is when you're literally, it's the systematic idea of a level of oppression. But you have to be empowered to be a racist.
And I learned that because I thought I had told Q a story when I was going to high school in Virginia. My dad retired from the Air Force in 2004 and moved us to Virginia, Fredericksburg, Virginia, put me in a school called Stafford Senior High School. This was a huge culture shock for me. And I told you this story because I go to this school, and to be honest, like, none of the black kids talk to me. None of the Latin kids talk to me. Even the white people were looking at me like, who the heck are you? And I got called names when finally I started making friends with people who were like, the black crew or like the Latin crew. Then I started getting called certain specific names and all that. But I had told Q, like, the black kids were racist towards me for a while. And Q was like, no, that's not possible.
Can't be racist towards you.
Exactly, because, again, explain to them why.
No, because racism is about it's a systematic oppression. Like the system that was set up wasn't set up for us. So they started making all these amendments. That's why there had to be a civil rights movement and all these other things, because we weren't looked at as complete humans. You know what I mean?
So, and I'm so glad Q taught me that. Like, this was years ago that I shared this with
him. The whole thing about it, like I said, is the cycle and the mentality is the same.
And education on the topic.
Yeah, there needs to be more education on it, because people's first thought is, don't call me prejudiced. Black people don't hate to be called prejudiced.
Well, God forbid you tell a white person they got white privilege.
And white people hate to be called racist or I have privilege, but you do.
It was like, what was that? The Chick-fil-A owner or somebody that said, I don't call it white privilege, I call it white blessing. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was insane.
That was wild.
But that was real. That was him speaking his real truth, and that's really how he felt.
That's nuts.
And my whole point about this is that we've been able to embrace that. We can embrace the truths about each other's ancestors, but of course through the lens of God's eyes, and just through us being evolved and mature enough, we can still have a relationship and know, even though your ancestors didn't like my ancestors and my ancestors, felt the way about your ancestors because they felt like they were just controlling them and just having them do whatever they wanted to do. We don't have to take that into our relationship, but we acknowledge it and we understand that that's a real thing.
That's right.
That's really where I wanted to kind of go with that, just so y'all can get a little bit of history about us. So I did all that, and we explained.
And
that
I kind of touched into what my preference was already.
Sabrina already talked to my preference. So my preference. So if you look at my actual dating history, I've always dated a little bit of everything. I've always been attracted to a little bit of everything: white, black, skinny, thick, accent, no accent, long hair, short hair, always. And anybody that's, any of my friends that I grew up with can attest. My sister can attest. My mom. I've always, I've never had a preference. Like, literally, Ray Shrimmer, I ain't got no type, is literally like,
I got a type.
Literally. It's girls.
No, I'm just kidding.
Jay-Z. I didn't care.
Yeah.
If I felt like you were attractive, I felt like you were attractive, and it didn't matter about your skin tone or color. Like, I really appreciated all of it. So that's my preference. She always liked brown skin, darker skin guys.
Yeah.
I never had a specific preference. If I felt like if you were beautiful to me, attractive to me, then that's just how I.
Yeah.
That's just how I.
I mean, like he said, tall, dark, and handsome. That was my preference. I think I dated one light-skinned guy who kind of looked like Chris Brown back in high school.
Shout out Breezy.
And I was like, nah. I like my husband's skin tone.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But my whole thing is like I just wanted to put that out there because then there'd be people that be running with these whole conspiracy theories. Like,
Oh yeah.
White women date black men so they can upset their fathers.
No.
Or black women get with white men so they can upset the system and be like, yeah, this is how I'm getting you. Like all that weird stuff. Like it is people that's like it is people. Let's be clear.
There are people that
are
do,
like that.
Yeah, true.
But that's not us. And like I said, if you know Sabrina or you know me, then that's not what type of time we're in.
I've heard some crazy things with people that are in interracial relationships and they be saying some crazy stuff to each other. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? That ain't us.
And at the end of the day, me and Sabrina are able to bond and do what we do because it's about who we are as a total package, who we are as complete people. It's not just about one aspect of it.